Thank you.
Before the trial of former Minneapolis police officer Derek Chauvin began, the House of Representatives passed the George Floyd Justice in Policing Act. It is now up to the Senate to act.
We should not mistake a guilty verdict in this case as evidence that the persistent problem of police misconduct has been solved, or that the divide between law enforcement and so many of the communities they serve has been bridged. It has not.
Schumer and other Democratic lawmakers call for policy changes in policing, such as repealing qualified immunity and creating a database of police officers and the complaints against them. Not going quite as far, Republican Senator Rick Scott, a vocal supporter of law enforcement, called for greater accountability on ABC's This Week.
I think you start with more transparency, and I think you do what I've done and what I did as governor. You sit down with law enforcement and say, okay, so what can we do to be better, and why are some officers better, some departments better than others, rather than saying, oh, everybody is doing the wrong thing, and creating an incentive for people not to do their job.
Greg Carr is chair of Afro-American Studies at Howard University in Washington. He calls for a total overhaul of policing in the United States.
We see, for example, what happened during the Floyd trial. As another Minneapolis area person was killed by a police officer, that officer resigned from the force. Now the question becomes, if they want to, do they show up in an adjacent police district with a new job? And so part of this national database will at least take away from local police departments the excuse, oh, we didn't know, or we didn't check. No, and so I think it's incremental. This need to remake policing. We're not talking about reform. We're talking about remaking policing.
Police unions have resisted a national database and other reform efforts in support of their members. Detroit Police Chief James Craig says law enforcement needs community backing and that morale is already low.
When you talk about defunding and you're not speaking up on behalf of the good men and women who are out doing the job the correct way, and nobody in a seat of influence is standing up in a courageous way and denouncing the rhetoric, then they don't feel supported. And so people are leaving. So good luck at trying to rehire or hiring a new group of officers to fill the void.
For now, however, the reform legislation is stalled in the evenly split Senate because of Republican opposition, and Chauvin, who is being held in a maximum security prison near Minneapolis, will be sentenced in June. Arash Arabasadi, VOA News, Washington.